I felt that the Harry Potter books were, I thought to myself, you know what, this is going to be a rut if he's going to just stay in school for all this time. You know, there's only so much you can do in that school. And I predicted that he was going to leave the school. And J.K. Rowling felt that she needed to get him out of there. So that's, I guess, her solution to getting out of that rut, if she felt it was a rut. I've created a solution for my book to get him out of the rut so that it's not so confined.
Well, if you have parallel worlds,
yes, parallel worlds, you hop
world.
onto another world and have a different
That's good.
adventure for each book or whatever.
One of the things that I use is time gaps. Sometimes thousands of years pass between books. Okay? And so I'm not using the same characters like the Harry Potter. Okay? I'm using different characters, writing different stories. I also use geographical shifts so that I'm not writing about Harry Potter in the school. I'm writing about, you know, if I was doing the Harry Potter series, I would be writing about, you know, what's happening in Italy. Okay. With Harry Potter, it was essentially the same play. Okay. Year after year after year. The setting was the school. And you're right. And to get them out of the school, to change the play enough to avoid that.
A popular TV series is Stargate. I don't know, how many seasons are there? There's like 9 or 10? There's 10? Okay, well, why in the world would there be 10 seasons of this? I think it's because there's a different world every episode. Sometimes they go back to a previous one, but they've, you know, those writers have so much fun just creating brand new people, brand new worlds, brand new everything. That's definitely a series that probably doesn't suffer from the same rut of
well, after 10 seasons they finished that one, but now you got Stargate Atlantis that's on their 3rd season.
I got Offspring.
Yeah.
Well, don't they have, in those stories, they have a core that stays the same, and then they have a change of venue. And they also have the villain that comes back in periodically. So there's a continuity and then there's a change, both. And I think that's what people like. They like the variety plus the consistency.
So definitely something that was successful. You know, the numbers show you that it was successful to viewers. Viewers liked that. The Star Wars series.
Right.
I was talking with Michael Stackpole a couple months ago, and he was saying that they do that to each other. You know, someone's writing, and it's my job to write the sequel. And I'm like, what did you just do? You just put me in this corner. How am I going to get out of this? And you know. And so that I know they put each other into those situations, and,
Playing round
and it's up to them to get them out of that.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, I make a lot of notes. I'm one of those authors that does write an outline, so I don't get myself into into a bit. So I do kind of have a pretty. I know what's going to happen throughout the whole book before I even start writing it. So that probably is one thing that's helped me not to
get into that kind of situation.
You would use a technique that I use when you think you're in a corner because you did something in book 1, and you're sort of stuck with it when you get to book 2, and you say to yourself, well, I would really like to do this sort of thing, but how can I do that when book 1 has these restrictions on it? All right, this is a problem. How do I get around it? How many ways are there around it? What are my options to get around this? Well, you can do A or B or C or D, you know. And you sit there and you look at these kind of options. Maybe another one will occur to you, and you pick the best one, and you finesse some things if you have to, and you get around it that way. And in the reader's mind, the question is something like, well, would that really happen? You know, and the author anticipates the reader is going to do that. And he'll say, I don't know how this happened, but this is the way it came out. Okay?
Yeah.
And so he's diffused the question.
Right.
By posing the dang question.
Right.
And then say, I don't know how this happened, but.
I've heard that before, that's a good way to excuse maybe
Yeah.
some fun. Yeah. You know, one of the things I've done, and I know some directors have done this. Like I think the Babylon 5 series was all written before they even filmed them because they wanted that whole story arc from episode 1 all the way to the end to go through. And I think I took that idea for my series as well because I have themes from book 6 that I want to relate to book 1. So I'll maybe have them say one little tiny insignificant theme in book 1 so that it would relate to a later book. And it takes a lot of some foresight and thought. That's one thing I've tried to do so that I,
leave little hooks in there so you can go back and latch onto them later.
And maybe I won't do it, but at least it's there for me.
Yeah.
How much mapping do you guys do? I mean, physical layout of the world. Do you only map what you have to so you can remember to as reference it? Do you have to lay out more maps than you need? Because I might go there, but I'm not sure yet.
If you drew the whole map, okay, but you only told this little story, and that whole map appeared in the front of the book or someplace, okay, and after you told this whole story, you said, oh crap, I should have made a bunch of volcanoes over here and I had to do this sort of thing.
You gotta live with it.
But you have to live with that map, unless you have the foresight to leave all that spot, all that blank. Okay, so I think I actually draw the maps, by the way, in pen and ink. I believe it was Tolkien said that he really regretted the fact that he used the entire map that his son drew because it locked him in to some things. I believe Tolkien said that. And that's what you want to avoid, getting locked in to certain geographies.
When you're creating a world and you're trying to make it real for your readers, are there any particular details or senses that that readers respond better to?
Smells are very evocative, and a lot of writers don't think to include them, but they reach down into the very primal core of persons when you can communicate a smell, and then it conjures up emotions. So that's what I like to include.
And I was accused of not doing that from a review
Oh.
because I didn't. Yeah, I have like no sense of smell, and I have like no taste, and so I don't. And I have difficult times remembering. You know what? Normal people do. I should probably put that in the book. Well, one of the things that I've heard that readers can really relate to is when you do put human qualities to your aliens, to something that they can relate to. If they're so alien, then it's harder to really relate to that, to that character. However, I also had one reader say, the person, a teenager wouldn't really do this. I'm like, well, a teenager's not from Earth. How do you know she wouldn't do that? It's from a different planet. But it was really important to her that teenager react how an Earthling teenager would react, and that's, there is a little bit of validity because this teenager that read the book was reading about teenagers from another planet. So you got to be a little careful that they do relate. They have enough characteristics that a teenager would relate to.
Yeah, I think you throw as many of the senses in as makes sense at the time. Okay. Smell blood, for example. Iron tang of blood. Coppery iron tang of blood. That's an odor that people can relate to. Touch, how does it feel? How does that surface feel? Is it rough, or is it smooth, or is it slick, or is it slimy? Yeah. Sight, of course. Sight is probably the biggest thing most people use to describe things, how it looks. You need some sounds like far-off rumbles and thunder and lightning. If you have a storm on the horizon, you need to hear it too. You need to see it and hear it. You need to smell the rain coming in. All of that kind of stuff is evocative of the human senses. A lot of people forget about the emotions. If the person is facing an oncoming war or something like that, their hands are going to be sweating. Their heart's going to be pounding. Their eyes are going to be dilated to take this stuff in.
Yeah. Thank you all for coming.